Back tonight, a McAllister family not feeling safe even inside their own home. Bogus law enforcement arrested the impersonators Brian Garrison, Margie Williford, and Gary Mooney. They've since been arrested, and Fox 23's Danica Lawrence picks it up from there. And Danica, how did these people even convince their victims that they were legit?
Frank, these individuals are pretty bold, obviously. And the undersheriff tells me even after they booked them into jail on Wednesday night, the night this all happened, they still were asking what they had done wrong. It's no way to end 2011.
They came to the door and they were beating on the door loud. They had already been here earlier in the day on 2 different occasions.
Clint Nelson, his fiancée Veronica Osborne, and his niece Amanda Sparks were arrested on McAllister city warrants Wednesday night, but city officers weren't arresting them.
Veronica and them had slammed the door shut on them because we could see out the window and see there was no police vehicles with them.
Their landlord asked them to leave earlier that day and said he would come back later that night if they hadn't moved out, claiming they were late on their rent. They claim they weren't.
We just really would like to know what that his true intentions were. Was it to kill us? Was it we don't know and still don't know.
All 3 impersonators, Garrison, Williford, and Mooney, were dressed from head to toe in law enforcement attire and carrying loaded tactical weapons. They fooled McAllister police and got a hold of warrants for each of the 3 tenants. Then they actually called the city police to help them arrest them. City police responded with, "We don't arrest on misdemeanors after 10 p.m. So the impersonators arrested them on their own, violently, breaking into the home, busting the door. They eventually drove the cuffed tenants over to the sheriff's department parking lot to book them into jail. But that's when deputies figured it out.
I knew at that time something was definitely wrong.
Nelson and his family felt threatened. His baby nephew was only 3 feet away from the door in his bassinet when the banging happened.
It's like he has some sick, twisted thing in his mind that he likes to put people and families and children and stuff out onto the street.
If an officer ever approaches you, you can always ask for their credentials. That way they can verify that they are an actual officer. We're going to continue reporting on this story as the week goes on. Danica Lawrence, Fox 23 News.
All right, Danica, and the McAllister Sheriff's Office is pursuing a warrant for an arrest to something much lighter.
Michael, thanks. This morning, a McAllister family says they are not feeling safe even in their own home.
It comes after they were arrested by people posing as officers. 3 people have been arrested. They're identified as Brian Garrison, Margie Williford, and Gary Mooney. Fox 23's Danica Lawrence explains how these people convinced their victims they were legitimate.
It's no way to start the new year.
They came to the door and they were beating on the door loud.
Clint Nelson, his fiancée Veronica Osborne, and his niece Amanda Sparks were arrested on McAllister city warrants Wednesday night, but city officers weren't arresting them.
Veronica and them had slammed the door shut on them because we could see out the window and see there was no police vehicles with them.
McAllister law enforcement had no reason to arrest this family.
It's the strangest in my career that I have come across.
Their landlord tried evicting all 9 family members earlier that day. He said he'd come back later that night if they hadn't moved out, claiming they were late on their rent. They claim they weren't.
He thinks that he is above the law, mafia.
He did come back and brought officer impersonators, Brian Garrison, Margie Williford, and Gary Mooney. The 3 bogus cops arrested the 3 tenants on real city warrants that they obtained by fooling city dispatchers. Then they cuffed the tenants and brought them to the sheriff's office to book them into jail.
They pull into this parking spot here straight in. They back up. They looked so authentic and acted so authentic that it fooled officers.
All 3 impersonators dressing from head to toe in law enforcement clothing and carrying loaded tactical weapons.
They have a 12-gauge shotgun, tactical shotgun.
As the pretend officers were driving the tenants to the county jail, a police officer called a county deputy and asked if Garrison, Williford, or Mooney worked with their office. The response was no. That's when the deputy surrounded the bogus officer's car at the department's parking lot.
I knew at that time something was definitely wrong, but was not absolutely sure. Just at that point, I guess, was just speechless when they took the handcuffs off of us and was arresting them.
Nelson and his family relieved nothing more dangerous happened. Even during their arrest, Nelson's nephew was only 3 feet away from the door in his bassinet when the imposters were breaking into their home.
It's like he has some sick, twisted thing in his mind that he likes to put people and families and children and stuff out onto the street.
That was Fox 23's Danica Lawrence reporting. Those 3 suspects were jailed on complaints of kidnapping, false impersonation, and arrest without proper authority.